For some cases here and see what we've got. I was handed this case and it says, can you address this case for me? She has been having a hard time and would love to hear you discuss it on the YouTube for. Okay. I guess I can mention the name, Tyra. Hyperadrenal glands, and has a history of cortisol shots. You know, what's interesting is that she has a hyperadrenal glands, but she's had to have cortisol shots. You know, it's interesting, isn't it? That even in a hyper case, you're still going to have lymphatic problems. She is very hypersensitive. Adrenals have been overstimulated by biofeedback treatments. She has quite a bit of anxiety and trouble sleeping. You know, what's interesting is that, you know, some things are beneficial and good for a short period of time and in moderation. And then, and those same things in extreme or in too much can cause you serious troubles, you know. And so one just has to be careful about that. She does experience a lot of pain due to extreme sensitivities and fibromyalgia. Well, I can't speak to the hyperadrenal glands because you could have real low, it depends what your blood pressure is, but if you have real low blood pressure, I'll submit that you don't have hyperadrenal glands. You have adrenal glands just so sensitive that they could be flipping, you know, back and forth on you. And that's what you see in thyroids and everywhere else where you see hypo. You know, they move between these two. And you always know that's an acid stimulation or a chemical stimulation that does that. You can always tell that because you have that Brady-Tachy syndrome. So you know it's a stimulant or some type of chemistry that's causing that sort of thing. And detox is the only way to do that. So let's look at this. Let's assume that it's hyperadrenal problems. The only way is you would never, obviously, take anything for a gland that is hyperactive. That's for sure. Because if you do, you're going to send yourself out there. You know, if you have a hyperthyroid case and you give them something for the thyroid, they could up in the ER with extreme heart rates and things like this. You know, in a hyper case, the only remedy is to move lymph. Move lymph, move lymph, move lymph, move lymph. This moves the inflammation or the acidosis, same thing, or the chemical, whatever we're dealing with, because even iodine can become and send that thyroid into hyperactivity. You never give iodine. You never give isolates of chemistry. That's ridiculous. Magnesium, no. Iodine, no. Arsenic. We know arsenic is a no, right. It's no on all of them. Because then you disturb the whole family, and we've had these discussions before of how that if you understand that all chemistry is family members, they're all linked, they're all ratioed, some buffer others, some that are deadly when they're brought too far forward are living in the back as distant cousins like arsenic. Bring arsenic forward and treat it like a brother, like calcium or magnesium, and it'll kill you. So you have to be real careful about playing with chemistry. It is definitely in the consciousness for man to play. In that playing, there is hopefully a spirituality and maturity developing amongst the Homo sapiens to where in the future they will pick out all the things that they've done that is beneficial, non-toxic, and helpful to mankind, and get rid of the rest. You know what's funny? It's just like laws and everything else. Once a state or a government passes a particular law, even if it's a bad law, no one ever goes around and changes it and gets rid of it. And that's the problem. We just keep going forward, and we have to take some time and go back and clean house. We need to clean house on all levels here and develop a stabilization of humanity. And that's only going to come with spirituality, and you guys are the forefronts of helping that through the health side. Because, as a rule, people don't grow spiritually unless they're forced to. You know, they're too busy playing in the field of dreams. So, a lot of times you get your butt kicked, you get whacked, and it's to break that zen, that thought, or zen, that thinking process, you know. And that's what the Zen techniques were, you know. tie two birds together, even though they have four wings, they cannot fly. These type of Zen type of things that stop the mind from thinking and open up the consciousness. And that's, there's a lot of techniques used by the Easterners for that. We need to develop that in this country, where we have to understand the mind is not the master, and that those that have made it the master become narcissistic, like to rule over others, become out of balance, they lose their spirituality. It can be real bad. Now there's others that can maintain a high intellectualism and keep the spirituality, but those are real strong spiritual souls that do that. So if it's a hyper case, you always want to detox. You don't want to step on any hyperactivity tissue with any herbs or glandulars, in particular the glandulars. You could sneak by with the herbs, okay, because think about this. Most of the herbs actually for the glands are berries. Saw palmetto berry, chase tree berry, all these berries are used for health of it, for the glands in particular. Here, going down here though to the fibromyalgia, that's systemic acidosis. That's a low adrenal function and a lack of kidney filtration. So you could have gotten your adrenals, where they're like the buzzing, so to speak. But the best way to attack this, and she's so sensitive to everything, so you're just going to have to go slow. You might even have to just use diet. When you have a case out there, guys, that are really sensitive, sometimes you can't even use the herbs at first. Now we're going to discuss a lot of this in level 2 of advanced cases. How you deal with advanced cases like this, where some can't even eat anything anymore. You get some just really, really so hypersensitive like this that any little thing sets them off. You got to go real slow. And we've talked about this before, where many can't even handle fruit. And so that's a problem. That's a serious problem, and you have to work yourself out of that. My opinion is you can use green drinks. There are buffering agents. They're not overly astringent, so they're pretty mild with that. Bananas might be, dates, figs, things like that. Less astringent foods might be better. Sometimes you have to go to salads, some steamed vegetables, and go even slow like that. As much as you would like to get that foot down on that accelerator, sometimes you can't do that. It's like Babe going, 4 or 5 years here, or 3 years or so on juice fasting. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do. I would say that if you want to start, the slowest start is to move into at least try to have 1 meal of fruit and then a couple of meals of vegetables. And then you just keep working and trying to exchange these meals out for fruits. As soon as you can get rid of vegetables and go to green drinks, it's even better, because vegetables are just hard to digest for the human. And when you're sick and full of acidosis and your digestive tract's a mess, why would you put complicated foods in there thinking it's going to make you better? So you really want to keep it light, keep moving lighter and lighter and lighter, removing the fiber, in other words, the first step, getting to the green drinks, and then moving into maybe the sweet fruits, and then moving in there to the subacid fruits, a little more stringents, and then we can move into the more of the heavy hitters like the lemons and the grapefruits and the oranges. So you got to work that way back in all ways. I would say for sure you want to do a kidney formula, or 2 kidney formulas if you can tolerate them. And most of the kidney formulas are so gentle in that way that you can tolerate the kidney formula. So kidney formulas are always a must with adrenal problems, because that's your doorway. They sit on the doorway. That's the problem. Also, I highly recommend at least 1 lymphatic formula, and if you're only doing 1, make it a capsule. And I would make it lymphatic 1. That's a powerful formula, but yet not too aggressive like the ones with the poke and the bloodroot and things like this. I think there is a little poke in one, but it's not much. And I would go in that way. I would try to get that liver cleaned up if you can tolerate the liver gallbladder formula. Try to do that. I don't know how sensitive you are over tinctures versus capsules. You know, the one thing about the tinctures with the alcohol is that they carry that nutrition to the cell real fast, where you have a digestive need when you take the capsules. So you have all these different, areas to think about, but keeping it simple. You just have to go slow and back one out of this. Even to the point where if you can't handle the herbs, try the teas. I mean, you got to try anything and everything, whether it's a little sip of a spoonful of tea every half hour. Even if a little bite of applesauce, homemade applesauce from Red Delicious apples, every half hour to an hour. You've got some people that can't eat any longer. They've ruined their GI tracts with so much of the perverted foods of dead animal tissues and milks and grains and crap like that. So now we've got to go in and restore. I talked to a young man yesterday, and this young man had a little bit of an attitude for sure, but he's in line for a kidney transplant, and his mother's going to give it to him. And I told his mother, no way, Mom. You don't give your kidney to your son. I just, when I look at these things like this, and you have to understand, if you're looking for a transplant, you don't take your immediate family member. It's a very humble thing for the mother, but it is wrong, because that kid could even discharge that kidney because it's from the same genetic line, and it's the first upline. What are they thinking? These guys don't have much going on. And to do that, we can restore those kidneys. But this is the thing out there, People are willing to go through something like a transplant instead of taking 6 months to a year to regenerate tissue like that. You can regenerate literally almost anything, unless you have such a decay and atrophy that it's gone. But you can still save. I've had some good success with gangrene, and you're pretty gone. Those tissue are pretty gone with that. So you just there's never too late, in my opinion, to try to get in there and restore some function and rebuild, especially if you're peeing already. So I found that was to be a little disturbing that the medical doctors would use the mother of the child and take her kidney. And then the mother could even, if that's not done right, she could get extreme lipedema and then pass from that, just from trying to help her son. So there's a lot of tough cases out there. But I was amazed that, the young person was less interested than the mother. Today, all you guys are young guys. And I told him to get up on the Facebook and talk to you guys about that. This guy's only 22 years old, and there's nothing. I mean, if you knew what a kidney transplant or any transplant's like and what you have to go through, going 6 months to a year on raw foods is nothing, honey. It's literally nothing. And then you don't put your mom at risk for death. So I don't know. You see these cases all over the place like that. And you got to be real careful, with these cases. But you try to get into these people and let them realize there is regeneration. And the sad part about it is, since the AMA is so lousy on anything health-wise, it's just not their field. And I don't mean to degrade them like that, but when you set yourself up for that and you act like you're the authority on health, then get prepared for the beat-up. Because you're sticking your ego out there and saying things you have no idea about. You didn't go to school for it. You have no clue about it. And yet us who went to school that also take our life and study and understand the chemistry of foods and everything, and we, so we definitely need to call a spade when that takes place. So Tyra, do your best to walk out of this. Definitely we're looking at your case there. But with the fibromyalgia, I can tell you your kidneys are down. Your whole body's down. That would be hypoadrenal problems. But you can, because of the biofeedback and stuff, you can really stimulate things. And sometimes, these machines and everything else, we just get out of whack. And with working with things, we get out of whack. So you just balance and stability are real key, all I can tell you. And that's a big factor in health, is a state of balance. Because you got some, and we were talking about some of the individuals that are thin have been on fruit for 2 or 3 years, but their conditions are extreme. You're going to have, some extreme issues in terms of thinness and stuff like that, but you can put that back on, get that fixed back up. You just take a break sometimes when you do those things. Do you have any experience with lipedema and when it gets into the final 2 stages causing lymphedema? I am really needing help, and so far what is out there is not helping anyone. I have stage 4 lipolipedema, and it has caused me to be mainly housebound. I know others that are totally bedridden by the disease. The disease is affecting 11% of the female population. Well, lymphedema is not a disease. Neither is lipedema. None of those are diseases. You're not metabolizing your fats properly, plus you're too acidic. So you got to get into the adrenal glands, you got to get into your kidneys, and I'd also get into the liver. I would clean my liver up a little bit, get my lymphatic system moving through the kidneys properly. That way you're going to increase absorption of your lipids, proper absorption of your lipids as well. And this is probably another thing you're not doing, is absorbing your lipids to the liver. In other words, remember, you absorb lipids into the villi of your GI tract, your small bowel in particular, and into the lymphatic capillaries, and then you're carried up to the liver. Remember, we showed you that picture of the ductwork that carries the fatty acids from the villi to the liver, which is not on any of the new pro charts. This goes back to the early 1900s. So in the earlier 1900s, it seems like they knew a lot more about health in the body than they do now. There's been a lot of things left out. Why? Why would you leave out the pathway of absorption of nutrients? Because they fall, since they have never, some medical doctors have never seen that, they assume that your lipids are taken all the way up here and dumped into the inferior vena cava with the cellular waste. I mean, all that is like, in research, medical doctors think differently than your GPs out there, obviously. And I know in research, they're thinking about how you get rid of cellular waste out of the body. But if you are assuming that cellular wastes are dumped into the venous system and you don't understand the role of your kidneys, you're not going to ever find the answer to that one. You're never going to know. So no matter what they think, sometimes they have to let go of preconceived ideas or theories. They just have not surfacing any reality for them. It's just like when you have laws and you don't get rid of them when they don't work or they're bad laws. It just seems like once you state something, it's in there, and that is as wrong as anything else. So this is all the process of how your body deals with chemistry, honey. And so you really want to get in there. You want to get your adrenals up. You want to get your kidneys filtering. You want to clean out your liver. Get that GI tract cleaned out as well. This affects, she's talking about, people that get real big legs and you get, you can see the waves and all of this. Your fat cells expand. And this is what happens to the lymph system as well, expands. But the fat cells expand, shutting down lymph flow, blah, 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 blah. But lymphedema can happen not with just the expansion of fat cells. Lymphedema can happen when you remove lymph nodes and you lost the pathway from the cell to the kidney. They don't understand that either. Let's just take lymph nodes out. So what? You don't need them. These guys are so black magic, it's not even funny, and compromise so many people's health, it's not funny. On the other hand, there's been some good saves, some good cases by some good surgeons. So you've got both sides. This is duality, of course. I'll say that to them. They do some good work too. But not in terms of health and regeneration, in terms of saving tissue or, this microsurgery stuff is pretty friggin' cool. Now here's one. Oh, look at this. Hi, Dr. Morris. Love your videos. My boyfriend was born with diamond Blackfan anemia. I'd never heard of that. None of us in here had ever heard of that one before. I read this when I picked it out of my bin. I looked at it, I thought it said diamondback rattlesnake bite or something. I'm going, what? But then it's diamondback Blackfan anemia, which means it affects the bone marrow and the production of red blood cells. Well, same thing. I mean, when you understand that you're in a world of duality, and in duality, that is also true of magnetics, current flow, but it's also very true of chemistry. And so when you have to understand the nature, as a rule, the nature of both sides of chemistry. And of course, everything, at one level, you could actually say factually that life is just variances of pHs, because that would be factual. Everything in life is variances of pHs. All actions and interactions are just variance. It causes and creates all variances of pHs. And so out of that, you have all kinds of things: osmosis, ionization, oxidation. You have all these different levels of things taking place. And homeostasis, where there's a balance of that, if there is such a possibility, I would say that everything is always in flux in creation. There's nothing static. There's no void supposedly, and there's nothing static where it's just stable, no movement whatsoever. We feel like that you could sit down in a chair and be static, yet how fast is the world turning? 23,000 miles an hour or something? I forget what it is, but pretty fast. So there's always movement and flux between two poles of positive and negative, whether it's magnetics or whether it's chemistry. It doesn't matter. And of course, you don't know that. And so when you see the acid side of chemistry, you see the corrosive side. And as we look down our uplines, and we start seeing all these genetic weaknesses developing as people continue to eat the same type of acid foods, the same foods that fill the body full of mucus, that damage the GI tract, that damage the kidneys, that back up the sewer system and stuff. As you see this coming down the line, we're all victims of that. I was telling this young man, 22 years old with a kidney, he's just one of millions. You're 22 years old in today's world, you've got kidney and adrenal problems, and I would work on without even a thought of it. Because I can tell you, if you find a 22-year-old with healthy kidneys and adrenals, you better play the lottery. It's going to be your lucky day. Because it's just not out there. And the degree of this is getting worse and worse and worse. And it's just something the man has to realize. There is regeneration. There is duality. Just because one modality that is stuck on treating symptoms with toxic pharmaceuticals can't cure anything, doesn't mean no one else can. And this has been stated like this for years, and yet no one seems to listen. They keep buying into this AMA crap and the disease crap, even though they don't see anybody getting cured. And everybody's Googling all these diseases and looking up the diseases, and no one's getting cured, but try this and try that. We got to break that crap. Because there never is a cure for that. Never will be a cure for that. And donations keep flooding in. And it's like poor people they're suffering so bad, giving their last dollar to hope research will find a cure. There's already a cure. God already has a cure out there. I mean, there's a few people that are not going to make it in this at a point when they wake up and realize how advanced they've gotten their body, but then it's time for them to take another trip and enjoy their journey further. This journey keeps going, guys. You don't just live here and go back home. That's insanity thinking. That's impossible almost. And when you start learning how the universes are put together and what it takes to get out of here, you realize, Of course, now, so, first thing you want to do is, and someone asked me a question here, and it was George. George, you asked me a question, and you were a little discouraged that I had velvet antler in my formulas. And so you emailed Jen W, and she talked to me about that this morning. It's enough to say that in the wild, Indiana has so many deer that they were dying from starvation. So they had to get wolves or coyotes. And don't you love to see a wolf or a coyote kill something like that? Or would it not be a little better to have a farm with nice deer or elk, and they're your friends, and you just take their growth antler when it's in season. You don't hurt them whatsoever, and you protect them and take care of them, and you feed them good too. Or you could be out there subject to prey at any minute with a wolf or someone going to take you down and eat you. George, you see what I'm saying, George? So sometimes people don't realize, that sometimes we can use some animal products I would rather use antler than glandulars, but it's just the way it is. But it's all karma here. It's all consciousness. And you got to understand, guys, nothing dies. It only appears. You see in your physical eyes things that are not always how truth is. You can't kill soul. You can terminate a body, but it'll just go back in the atoms again and form another body, or form a body of a plant or an animal or another baby, a human baby, whatever. You can't kill anything, really. Everything is just regenerated. So I would definitely get into our bone marrow formula, in other words, and because we're working on the bone marrow formula. There are some Chinese herbs out there that are also good. I have a formula called Enhance by Health Concerns. That one is an HIV cancer immune formula. It's got like 50 herbs in it. Incredible formula. I'd probably get into something like that, or our bone marrow formula. At the same time, what am I going to do? I'm going to think, all right, and the reason I was going down this genetic road is, some of the problems is that some of these tissues are genetic, and the kidneys, it's possible to have an upline that invokes some good genes out of an area like the kidneys, to where this lifetime didn't cause it. These are weaknesses within the cells, genetically speaking, from the same scenario of weak kidneys, weak adrenals, and the lymphatic system. But you're going to go back there anyway. You've got to go back. You've got to get your kidneys filtering. You've got to get your adrenals up. You've got to get your bowels cleaned up, clean up the liver, and go after that bone marrow. Because it was like this lipedema case where fat cells expand too much, and it's kind of like up here when lymph backs up in the shoulders and the neck and it gets stiff and tight, you can get numbness down your hands. You start to get tingling and numbness in your fingers, and it's coming from your upper spine here. And it's lymph getting harder and swelling and shutting down nerve pathways. Same thing with this, except it shuts down lymph pathways. But lymph pathways, nerve pathways, and blood pathways, those are the three main energy flows of the body. You don't want to shut down any of those three main energy flows, blood, nerve, and lymph. And you just don't want to shut any of them down. But the lymph is the one most notorious for causing problems in the other two systems. And why? Because that deals with the acid corrosive side of chemistry, and it's a lipid-based system. And it needs filtration. It needs the kidneys to filter it, or the skin. And when that isn't happening, you have sewage backing up, baby. You can call it infection all you want. You can call it inflammation all you want. It's all the same stuff. It's acidosis. And it has not a pleasant ending to it. So this is why you simply understand that you just simply get your lymphatic system going. Something is so devastating as the destruction of bone marrow or any tissue in the body, when you realize it's just kidney filtration problems, it's very simplistic. Fix it, and you can fix the problem on the other side. So that's what I would be doing if I was this, is this a young lad? Oh, my boyfriend. And he's been taking shots of prednisone to stay alive. Well, all I have to say, if you're going to continue with that, you've got to get on an adrenal. I would do adrenal 400 milligram glandulars and back that up, because you're gonna make this whole thing worse and worse and worse. The longer he's on prednisone, the weaker the adrenals. That shuts down the kidneys, then the more lymph, and then the bone marrow disintegrates even more. And you just go on and on and on like that. You just can't go at it this way using steroids as your anti-inflammatories. You want to use foods as your anti-inflammatories. I don't know why people are using steroids or chemical steroids as anti-inflammatories when foods are anti-inflammatories. Fruits, berries, melons, and most vegetables are anti-inflammatories. Why would you not use the first line of defense is what you're eating, what you're drinking, what you put on your skin? What you drink, eat, breathe, and what you put on your skin. That's how you bring the chemistry of the outside world in. And some chemistry is your friend, just like people, and some people are not. And you have to be careful, because these cells of your body, once they're destroyed, you have hell rebuilding them. And I'll say this, even in a genetic stance, you can rebuild this bone marrow and get this young man, if it's a young man, get this man back in. But you're going to have to deal with prednisone because you have to realize the problem always was in the adrenals and the kidneys. Why would you give a steroid in any of these conditions? What would that bring to your mind if someone's giving you a steroid, which is an anti-inflammatory? So if I said to you inflammation is acidosis, then we could actually say that steroids are antacids, right? Right. And the reason is most of them have a pathway through cholesterol. So they're lipid-based. See, so you could use cortisol, progesterone, you could use any cortical type steroid. And the minerals are corticosteroids too. So there, you can use, anything base to fight anything acid. And play that game, the neutralization game. But that's what I would do and get in there and work on that. Maybe a non-hormonal IUD, or is that... Wait a minute, let me see what else she's saying. Another question. Oh, it's another question. I'm going, how does that relate? Another question. I'm currently on a healthy, low-fat vegan diet, mostly fruit, but I do take birth control pills. How much will the pill affect me if I'm already eating healthy? Should I use a different approach? Maybe a non-hormonal IUD? Maybe. The problem with taking estrogenic-type formulas for birth control is the ruining of the adrenal glands. That's the problem. I've been trying to put together an abortive herbal formula, birth control, and I'm just working on it. The problem is who are we going to get to experiment with it? Because you have to, if it doesn't work, one could conceive. So I'm researching enough to where hopefully I'll get that formula together that we know that pretty much we're going to have birth control with it. But a natural herbal birth control to me is the coolest thing there out there that should be. I just have some herbs put together, but I don't have, it's just a formula. It's like I'm walking around it, looking at it, and going, I got to do more research and that sort of thing. Oh, this is George. This is George again. I thank you so much for your efforts. My hairy kid, your hairy kid, sounds like a dog or a cat, was having troubles urinating, so my wife took him to a couple of vets. Had to be a little pet, did we? The second vet did a scan and noticed on his pancreas a 5-inch line. Oh, look at that line on his pancreas. He said he was 90% sure it was cancer, but not 100%. I don't know about 90%. There's a line on the pancreas, and I think it's cancerous. Our hairy kid Lee is in great spirits. My wife is very concerned, and we got him on blue-green algae. www.E3 Live. So how is blue-green algae going to help a acid lesion on the pancreas? I don't know how you're planning to use blue-green algae to fix that problem, George. Raw aloe. Maybe a little bit, but, let's see what else you're using. And a prostate formula from Dr. Schultz. Now, you're giving this dog a prostate formula, or is this for you? She is also giving him, it has to be for the dog. You know what? I'd give a kidney formula instead of a prostate formula, George. Because the prostate's a victim, just like anything else, of the kidneys. So all dogs have kidney weakness. Remember, if this is a dog, it could be a cat. But all dogs have kidney weakness to one degree or another. So I would give the the endocrine gland formula. I would give him, just like I would go after anybody else, I'd give him a kidney formula, a lymphatic formula, an endocrine gland formula. At least those three. She is also giving him raw meat, which is frozen. He seems to be urinating much better with great energy. I'll tell you what, another thing, get you some veggies in there. Dogs are omnivores and they have to have their veggies. If you give all meat, notice the stool isn't so nice. Anything else we should be doing? Yeah, move those lymphs, George. Move your dog's lymphatic systems or whatever animal this is. If it's a cat, you got to go with the meat. But if it's a dog, you can definitely add your fruit and vegetables in there, to be honest with you. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Do that, George, and see how you do. I'm 48 years old, male. He says, this is Terry, I absolutely do not know where to begin. Well, Terry, let's take off and see where we're going. I'm 48 years old, I'm a male, just recently was in a motorcycle accident. Oh my God. Hey, sweetie. Bum right leg, broken right shoulder, traumatic brain injury, yuck. I was unconscious for 4 days. Hell, man, you're lucky to be alive. You know, I quit riding motorcycles. I rode a motorcycle all through high school. I loved them. But winter snow, I didn't care. I've got hit in the face with bats. I've got all kinds of things. But I've also been thrown off of one too, so it was, holy crap. When I moved to Florida, I realized this is a killer state for motorcyclists. One town up here, there's a guy, a motorcyclist gets killed every day. Down here, a biker is, I mean, they just get hit all the time down here. It's just insane. For some reason, the older people can't see them. I don't know, but it's not good to me to have a bike in Florida. My 2 daughters had to tell me everything. Look at this. He was out for 4 days, but I cannot remember about 2 weeks before, oh my God, before the accident, and about 4 weeks after the accident. My 2 daughters had to tell me everything. I do not take drugs of any sort. My neighbor was kind enough, she is so smart, to tell me all she knew about you, and she emailed me 5 emails with videos and this website. Oh, that's nice. I couldn't walk anyway. Wow, oh. Way impressive and full of knowledge. I'm a member now and would like to take full advantage. Oh, good. Welcome aboard, Terry. Nice to talk to you, man. But I'd like to know where to start. Oh, and I have a problem with locking short-term up into long-term memory. My account name is Thunderstorm and my email address is. All right, Terry, here's the thing. Obviously, trauma is acidic on top of whatever your body was in the state it was before you had the trauma. Knowing that, and you're 48 years old, knowing that, I would go ahead and think, okay, I got to clean my body out anyway, because whether I'm involved in trauma or whether I've created extreme acidosis, to fix those two is the same thing. You're going to hydrate your body properly this time, interstitially, around the cells. To do that, you're going to get that lymph moving, because any injury has damaged cells, tissues, and the like. That has to be carried away by the lymph system, not by the blood system. And sometimes when you have injuries that don't want to heal, guess which system you're dealing with. That's why we're so hyper-focused on the lymphatic system. So, absolutely, it's the lymph system. So you want to address that system. That deals with injuries, trauma, cell waste. That's the system that helps you. Blood just brings the goodies, you know. It's the truckers bringing in the goodies. So, I would look at, I'd probably take a little parathyroid formula for, I'd say about a bottle or 2 bottles of parathyroid with a bones formula. Right, just to kick up the parathyroid and calcium utilization and go after your connective tissue and bones. I'd also, remember, I'd go in that 14-week protocol that I've got designed up there, or have me design you one. But at least do your kidneys, your lymphatics, and things like this. The bones formula has a couple of things it can do. It has a lot of things it can do for you. Now, at the same time, I'm with brain and nerve number 2 and upper circulation. Why? Moving blood aggressively in traumatized tissue is good, because it brings carbon and oxygen, energizes. It also brings other goodies. Okay, but it also strengthens neurons. The brain and nerve is specifically for neurons, for cells of the brain, of the nervous system. So it enhances weakened or damaged tissue. And so, upper circuit, brain, and nerve to me would be mandatory to get the memory back, to repair any tissue like that. At the same time, getting the lymph system moving. And then you're probably using the new, or what they discovered as the new lymphatic system of the brain. So you just want to make sure everything has the ability to clean itself and get out. all these acids and wastes and things from the trauma. At the same time, to rebuild and to get yourself going, I would live on fruits, berries, and melons. Forget the vegetables right now. And the reason is that fruits and berries are the only two foods really that can rebuild nerve tissue in the human body. Vegetables are lousy at that, and in some cases you just get so far and that's it. So, fruits, berries, and melons, and that'll really help to rebuild the nervous system. You would treat this guy just like an MS or someone else like that. You're going to get up in his brain with upper circulation. You're going to get up there with the brain and nerve formulas to rebuild nerve tissue. At the same time, you're going after those kidneys because the lymph system has to clean all that trauma. And in that, you're actually hydrating interstitially, so that creates the healing process as well. You have to move your body out of acidosis to get any type of healing. And when healing is slow, and you hurt yourself, you don't seem to heal, that's acidosis. You're just too acidic. Because remember, one of the experiments that Arnold Ehret put up to the AMA, I personally went through that myself and experienced that. I can tell you, it seems bizarre, it seems radical. But when I was on my 6-month orange fast, or 6 months orange diet, I was eating organic oranges that looked like large grapefruit. This guy knew how to raise organic produce. He grafted for all the local groves. And he's an old Southern Baptist that loved out-of-body traveling. He had a till here that if he knew you and he wanted to know what you were doing, all he had to do was put your face in his mind's eye and he could see everything you're doing. This guy was something else, and he had an old Southern Baptist. He showed me where ships came in and landed near his house. This guy is just unreal. But an old Southern Baptist guy. But his navel oranges were this big. And I could have 15 of them at a setting and have at least 4 or 5 settings a day. So I was buying them by the bushel basket big time. But I was cutting them. I had no juicers. I had no power. I lived in my Volkswagen camper van. And I was cutting them with knives, and I always cut myself. And after I got at a certain point, I could cut myself and not even feel it. No pain, no bleeding, and the next day or two, I didn't even tell where I cut myself. Arnold Ehret offered that up, and he offered that, of course, the difference between being on a high fruit diet like that, stepping it down with vegetables and then cut yourself and see how you feel. These are all little bitty experiments you can tell the quality and how that food affects your pH balances. You have some vegetables and you can feel it, and especially if you kept down into the cooked food, ooh. But if you add meat, it not only hurts, it pusses up, but your wound won't heal for days and days and days. So the more acidic a person is, the less they heal. So in trauma or any type of condition, no matter what it is, the restoration of a balanced pH is key interstitially. And it's key to be able to remove waste as it is to feed the body nutrition. So you're just fixing everything up in the body so it can heal itself up. It's the only way, because there's no chemicals that can get you well like that. You can't force true regeneration of the human body through pharmaceuticals. It's ridiculous. They do the other. They break it down. So you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Pick that parathyroid up. That way you can get your bones healed up quicker. Keep that alkaline. I'll say this. If you want to do some green drinks, okay. You know, you could do some green drinks, but you'd want to do parsley, dandelion greens, maybe some spinach, beets, that sort of thing. That you could do that. But you'll be fine, Terry. Get into this, get into these herbs, get into the raw foods, and get up into the fruit and berry and melon level, and you'll get your whole life back, and even a lot better than what it was. That's pretty cool. Have an accident and do better than you were. Hi, sweetheart. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Could you bring me a bottle of water? I forgot to get one when I started these.
Of course, I'll be right
Thanks,
there.
sweetie. Thank you. Thanks. Hello, I'm Matthew. Matthew, I've never seen it spelled this way, M-A-T-H-I-E-U. I'm a French saxophonist. Yeah! Oh, I love the saxophone. My neighbor was a saxophonist. I was trumpet. And I wanted to be drums, but there were so many people. This was in 5th grade or something, volunteering for drums. that I had picked a trumpet. If I had only known, because I was playing guitar and piano at that age too. And if, thank you, dear. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And so I had to pick trumpet in school band, you know. But if I'd known, I'd have probably picked flute. My sister picked flute and then went to piccolo. And I thought, boy, with Jethro Tull coming out with the flute and all this, I wished I'd have been able. Who was it that could play 2 flutes? Oh, man, incredible stuff. Mm-hmm. But that saxophone too, baby, that's something else. What's that guy on, the black guy on American Idol was a saxophonist, wasn't he? No, he was a bass player. Oh, thanks, man. First of all, thank you for inspiring so many people. Thank you so much, Matthew. My question is about raw food. How to eat raw food in a country full of parasites. Like some part of Africa and India. Yeah, I'd have to try to find some kind of wash, you know, some kind of veggie wash or some kind of wash that will clean that off. And if you had to, you could make a wash out of Parasite M, you know, and wash your veggies in that. You know, or some type of anti-parasitic herbal mix, and wash your vegetables and fruits in that, you know. And then every once in a while, of course, most of them are really anti-parasitic. Raw foods are fairly anti-parasitic of themselves. But every once in a while, like all good islanders and things, they deworm themselves. You know, you clean yourself out like that. That's the beauty of having all the botanicals. So let me go on here. 8 years ago, I drank a soda with ice cubes in a French African island with a huge level of humidity, and so I forgot it's highly unrecommended to drink any form of local water because of the parasites. Oh yeah, I did that in the DR. Since I suffered gastrointestinal problems, what got me with the DR was all the acid air from all the mopeds and bikes there without catalytic converters. It's so acidic air. Since I suffered gastrointestinal problems, inflammation, infections, lower assimilation of the nutrients, most of the time I had no pain, but my general level of energy was down and my nervous system was affected, became anxiety, crisis, etc. So I saw several naturopathic, oh, that's too bad, right there. He saw several. One good naturopath should have fixed you right up there, my friend. It's sad you had to see several. Saw several naturopathic doctors and tried almost everything to get well. Diets without gluten, more raw food, without red meat, vegan, drinking water of medical clay. Thousands of natural supplements, no kidding, like prebiotics, activated carbon, but without a real success. See what I'm saying? And till using a radical way MMS, miracle mineral, I'm familiar with it, that eradicated most of the unwanted bacterias, but however, I think that affected my general state. Yeah, I don't use that formula at all. It's not miracle nothing. What's miracle is your fruits and your berries and how the nutrition in those babies, the herbs, that's miracle. That's miracle stuff, not man-made stuff, God-made stuff. During this period, I also followed a spiritual quest, ooh, good, and had several experiences, ooh, wow, with Amazon shamans, ooh, that sounds cool, that made me drink 3 times their ooh, I don't know how to pronounce that, with one time an out-of-body experience, yeah, you know, those are so fun. This is where fun is, you know, where you know, how many toys can you have? How many houses can you live? Who cares all of that stuff? You know, I mean, that stuff comes and goes. Materiality is here one minute, and the next, and it ages, right? You are always alive and well, and you can have all kinds of fun. Since 2014, I live in Morocco and came back very slowly into daily meat-eating routine. I play music in a Latin show restaurant. That's pretty cool. That serves 7 types of meat. Holy crap. A few weeks after my arrival, I get a salmonellosis. Hopefully I found, well, you went back to meat eating. Hopefully I found a very good center here with naturopathic and osteo healers. I never heard of that. Moroccan is like middle age in lots of ways, where they boost my lymphatic system and give me homeopathic treatment. Shiatsu, therapy, that's cool, and a simple dried, without food combining, from animal's milk, without spicy food, without raw food, because of the parasites. Now I'm in acceptance state, but I could be much better. I don't have salmonellosis anymore, but I still have unwanted bacteria, parasites, and recently had a gastrointestinal infection. Well, did you ever think that, my friend, that a lot of this might not be bacterium and parasites? A lot of this might be your lymph system and acidosis. You know, I'll say this. You want to kind of get out of the idea of killing your body's bacteria and getting rid of the material that can create the proteolytics. In other words, get rid of the protein waste and stuff out of your body so you don't have the gnarly boys, and you have the standard bacteria that give you vitamins every day, because you kill everybody and you have some troubles, big time, because you need that bacteria in your body. It's the worms, the flukes, the hooks, you know, the rounds, those sort of things that are the big issues. But I'll say this, look at your terrain there, get into your lymph system, get your kidneys filtering, get your adrenals up, you know. It's easy to deparasite yourself. You know, just get on Parasite M&G and you can take dosages. We were talking about, what was her name? She did the wormwood and black walnut hull, Hannah Kroger. I did her program years and years ago, but it was like 30 capsules or 20 capsules of wormwood. So you got to be careful with too much wormwood. I mean, wormwood's good for cancers and everything else, but wormwood is also toxic at high dosages, so you have to be careful with wormwood. But you can put yourself on some strong, those two, Parasite M and wormwood, unless you can find other formulas, you know. And then just, I do 3 or 4 capsules of each one of them, and you want to keep on that for a while so you get the cycle of eggs and stuff too. You know, you could be missing your cycle with the eggs and everything, so you want to, you know, every few months reintroduce that until you get yourself clean. But your best bet is clean your lymph system, clean your sewer system up, because you tend to blame everything here on parasites, and of course, I'll say that your inner terrain and condition is probably a big issue with this. So you want to take a look at your body and your lymph system and your kidneys and all this too, and fix that up. And I think you'll find things will get better for you, because you're just fixated on parasites. And, you know, I would be fixated more on acidosis in the lymph system. Parasites are generally easy to get rid of, generally speaking. There are some people extremely infestated, and they are very problematic, so I won't get into that. I've talked about that before. For sure, I could go back to my parents' house in south of France and eat only organic raw food, but in my career, you don't have to go to south of France. I would fix my lymph system. That's what I would do. South of France, been there pretty. Thank you in advance. No, thank you, Matthew. If that's how you pronounce your name, not sure. Apologize with that. 2 more questions. Oh, the same guy. All right, okay, here's good. 2 more questions. Is there a way which my body could adapt itself enough to eat raw food in a different country without bacterial infection? You know, I think you're hyper-focused on bacterial infection too much, Matthew. I just think that's the wrong approach in that sort of thinking. If you're going to say bacterial, then you have to say terrain, because you're going to culture the different bacteria depending upon the terrain you've created internally. And most people eat dead animals, and so these type of proteins are absorbed. That's the smell you smell under your arms and other places in your body. That's from meats and animal products. Veggies and fruits don't make you stink, but animal products make you stink because they're putrefactive. So I think cleaning your inner terrain, you can put yourself on antiparasitics and stay with those for a while, but I think you have much more problems. I think you have to look at your lymphatic system, my friend, and go after that. Fix your kidneys. You know, pee in a jar. Are you filtering? Things like that. Look at your eyes and see what your eyes are showing you. But I would get back on a raw food diet. That's much more antibacterial than cooked foods are. Cooked foods are on their way to death. Anything on their way to death is going to be acted upon by parasites. You just have to understand that's the common natural rhythm of nature. So don't be a host. Don't be a culturing medium. Fix your inner terrain up and you'll be fine there. And then how could I gain weight in a healthy way? First of all, my face. See photo. I don't see no photo. Thank you and wish you all the best. Same to you, my friend. Well, here's again. You have to consider, are you thin because of malabsorption? That would go back to the lymphatic system, the same system that is the host of the most. That's your parasitic system as a rule. I mean, your blood carries some, but really your lymph system is the sewer system. Expect the most. And those are the systems you want to clean up. Yeah. Oh, well, I like this one. This is CM. Let me see who wrote this one. I can't tell. It says, you are a man of God. I hope so, because that's all I care about. You have been incredibly kind and loving. Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. I try. You know what? Sometimes it isn't all love. You know, sometimes, you know, you have to be strong in a world like this. And so God prepares you for strength, and that's what you all want to get is strong. Learn survival. And I'm giving you a lot of survival techniques, not only at this world, but out-of-body traveling and have some fun. And learn how to get yourself even further along before you translate. Here, good stuff. I have a question on fruitarian diet. I am eating mostly fruits and greens, but I also go to the gym a lot and need high calories. Well, I want to stop right there because I don't believe in calories like that. I really don't. I believe in energy. And I believe that when we build up resistance in the body, what you've learned and what you've accomplished away from yourself, I don't care who it is. And you have to be careful because you can get that real easy in and out, and this world kind of fades. You know, especially the more now you've gotten, you're not sure where you are because everything is so extreme in the now. Remember I talked about that. If you get yourself in the extreme now, in every moment where there's no thought, you'll see everything for the first time as new. You get out in your car, you go, oh, this is nice, look at this car. Because you're not working on memory anymore. You're working on present moment experience. And so everything's new. Drive down that same road. Oh, look. That's neat. That's neat. You could have seen that thing a million times. We operate more by memory than actual moment-to-moment experience because we've let our minds control us. We use our minds, academics. The problem is okay, but there's a certain point you've got to stop because consciousness has more truth. The mind is just images of thought that is totally schooled, conditioned. As I'm typing this letter, I hear a voice inside me saying, forget about raw foods, herbs, health, and have fun. No, have fun with raw foods and herbs. See what it is? Watch who's talking to you. And because you can get some unfriendly people hanging around you. Be strong in every moment. Don't invite anybody into your headspace. You don't need anybody sitting there with you unless it's your spiritual guide or master that you're working with. Learn who you're working with. Start looking at things a little more etherically as opposed to so much physical look. You know, like those paintings or pictures with all the dots, and if you pull back and you don't look so intent, you'll start to see what's in the background. That's kind of how you want to do life. Pull back a little bit. Don't get so intense. You pulled yourself so much into creation. Pull yourself back a little bit. Sit and watch creation a little bit. Makes a big difference. So I'm going to say that little whisper in your voice, use raw foods and herbs and have fun doing it. Because the sicker you get, the more acidic you get, you don't have fun. There is no fun. Your body pulls you down in pain and discomfort and limitation. The only way to get to have fun is get your body healthy where you don't even know you have it. It's so loose and spry that you don't feel any ache or pain or anything. You don't even know you have a body. That's what you want. You need a woman. Your cells don't need minerals. They need fun. Wait a minute. You can have fun with a woman. I can have fun with a woman. Your cells don't need minerals. They need fun. Well, that's true, maybe. I guess, it's all crazy. Because we're doing these, but we don't know nothing of the allness of things and how things, oh my God. You know, when you start looking at things, you start to realize just how much we don't know. That's the problem. The more you see, the more you understand, the less you know. But if you use the mind and the ego, you think you know it all. I guess instead of buying saw palmetto to stop losing my hair, I could find a sexy woman to give me a scalp massage. I'm kind of liking how you're thinking here, you know? Hell, use them both. That's only an old bull talking. You guys are funny. In all seriousness, I feel in my heart that what is trying to truly going to heal me is a true heartfelt relationship with a conscious woman. And I tell you, there's nothing like that from a male's perspective, and actually from a female's perspective. When you find the right love, you have your individuality, they have theirs, and it just fosters more union. You're both God merging. I mean, it's so high, it's almost like any physical could almost lower the experience. But that said, but yeah, that's why opposites, and that's, all these people killing women and children. Why don't everybody just enjoy each other and see how healthy and awake and things we can be on the planet, and what we can do with materiality in a positive vein, Do you agree? Wholeheartedly. But you need the raw food and the detox too. You do it all. And you want a woman that likes raw foods, because I've made that mistake. And it's much more difficult to stay raw when your mate or your lover or your significant other or your wife or whoever you're with or your man, and go the other way too, your man, doesn't do raw. It's a tug. It's a tug of war. And it's sad, because I see some ladies want their husbands to be raw, which is the most common problem, because men are the worst. And then I see men that want their ladies well, and the ladies don't want well. So you see that. Opposites actually attract. Kind of sad, because it's nice to have the person that feels the same way you do. In the end, it all becomes one anyway. Please speak about the healing power of true heart-to-heart relationships, because I feel this is the next step in my evolution. Thanks, Doc. Same to you, my friend. I've said this on other videos, but when you have a case and you feel that case is hard, and that man or that woman has hardened themselves as a spiritual being, you might try to open that heart chakra, that heart door. Because what we've seen here through the years, no heart, no survival. You just go down no matter how raw you eat, no matter what the herbs you take. When your heart's closed, it's just like it closes your bodies right down. And so opening that heart. But you want to open it with divine love, not personal love. Divine love. And divine love means I can love every one of you, and give every one of you a kiss, give every one of you a hug, and love every one of you equally, and with the power of God. And that's the beauty of that, is that you can love intently your whole beingness of all life. And each one of you are a part of all life. That's what you want. Because then it's such a high etheric, and you survive doing it. Your emotions aren't raked over the coals. The person, you don't care if, you don't use the word bad or good, or you should have or you shouldn't have, or it's your fault. That sort of language that you get into after longer term relationships. You always keep yourself. Put the oxygen on the parrot first. Keep yourself, because your survival throughout eternity depends upon your conscious awareness, or not. Two things. First, if you want to contact me through Facebook, that's possible. I'm a very active member of your Facebook. Yeah, baby. Second thing, where I live, it's 30 minus 30 Celsius in the winter. Holy crap. I'd have been moving, man. I'd be moving to where the Islander women are. It's not realistic to eat 100% raw, in my opinion, and it is not. It's very difficult. I'm in 100% agreement with you. Please give me a couple examples of healthy cooked meals: steamed veggies and baked sweet potatoes, hot herbal teas. It's about the best you can do, because you still got to maintain some raw here. This is going to be a long video. I hope it's not too long for you guys. But this is Geo, Music Man. What kind of guitar is that? Is that a Gibson? I can't tell what kind of guitar you got there. I've been wondering if for someone very right-handed, the left side would be weaker in terms of strength, but mainly elimination possible. That's why I like martial arts. Martial arts help to strengthen both sides bilaterally. And it kind of gets both sides of the brain. You know, you kind of work both sides, so I like that. If our left arm, for example, is slightly weaker and less dexterous, why not the kidney and adrenal on the same side? Probably is. You know, you're right on, it probably is. And you know how you can tell? Iris picture. You know, you can really see that. But I think you're right on with what you're saying here. I think that you can always, on a weaker side, you can just about depend upon the kidney and adrenals. Why? Because they're the main controllers of the system that makes you weak. Blood will just kill you. But your lymph system, it'll make you weak, painful, achy, stiffy. That's your lymph system. So I think you're right on. If our obviously the opposite side would apply for a left-sided person and weaker right side. Just a thought. Love you, Doc. Love you too, Magic Man. No, I think you're right on. I think weakness is weakness, and I think you're going to go right to the source of weaknesses. Now, exclude trauma, you know, from injury, like a motorcycle accident. Holy crap, poor guy. Those face things are dangerous nowadays. Even with headlights. I don't know. But strengthening has always been a part of my thinking processes. Cleaning and strengthening, and one can't happen without the other. They have to happen simultaneously. You can't strengthen acidic, necrotic tissue without removing the source of the problem. And you're always going to find that generally on the acid side of chemistry, and the lymph system as the system that deals with that. Again, you know, blood doesn't deal with the acid side of the chemistry very well. Minor pH acids, but not your stronger ones. You know, you start putting 3 pH into the blood, what are you going to do to the 7.4? You're going to move it real quick down, aren't you? Homeostasis, natural law of physics. All life seeks a balance. So, you know, no. It's the same thing's true with 2 alkaline of a water. You know, balance. And that's key, and I think that's what we offer the world, is a balanced system of reality, of truth in health and healing. And you have any level down below it you want. But we sit at the top of the mountain, because if you don't do this level, you know, and read all these questions, and all you guys that have done the fruits and the veggies and done these things, you really find, and most of you are finding, that after you get rid of the weaknesses of the fruit is the key to regeneration. But balance. You know, sometimes you can get way out there, because man does not have the ability, I think, to stay a fruitarian any length of time and stay balanced. and for you, my friend, you probably will stay in your body. My chiropractor is referring me to a hip replacement doctor to see how worn out my hip joint is. My acupuncturist tells me my kidneys appear weak and prescribed JUI, an herbal formula to help cleanse and tonify the kidney. I do not want to get a hip replacement. Yeah, no kidding. Ugh. I had psoriasis in the testes also. Now, psoriasis in the testicles. Well, what system are we involved in there, I say, old chap? Absolutely, that's your lymph system. Now, that's down where nothing good can happen when it gets acidic. And of course, right up the walk is the prostate, you know, and then right up the walk is the kidneys. Okay? So, you got to get after those kidneys. I do not want, and whoever told you that was exactly right. Because when the kidneys don't filter, see you joints, See your joints. So to fix your hip, you have to fix your kidney filtration first. And you have to filter. Get on that filtering and see what we talk about filtering. Remember when the urine filters, you're going to have sediment. Sediment, all this sediment in the urine. And you want that. But the psoriasis, same system that's chewing on your hip, is taking your skin and killing the skin cells. It's just the acidosis, but down in the testes. Oh, I was on predominantly a greens juice and green smoothie diet supplement with lots of berries and fruit. The acupuncturist told me I am a water type and that the excess water in the raw veggies and fruit were creating a damp condition in the body, causing the psoriasis, and recommended lightly steamed vegetables and an herb to dry out the dampness. Ooh, anybody give me a margarita and do me a double shot? Oh my God. Well, this individual you went to is studying too much Chinese. This person is far from the truth. And let's go back and talk about this. She's an acupuncturist, though. Told me I am a water type. So, you're a water type. So, how many types of humans do we have here? You know, because Ayurvedic has several types. So you have all types of humans here, but you're the water type, right? You can't handle water. Do you ever notice that if you think about all this, all you're looking at the different types of people are the differences in their genetics and in their tissues, in their endocrine glands more than anywhere else. That's it. No one is any more a water type than another Homo sapien. But I'll say this, if she thinks that slightly steamed vegetables, this is going back into Chinese stuff and into microbiotics and that crazy type of thinking. And I'm going to tell you, if you think in any way that steaming, cooking, and getting rid of the water and the rawness of foods is better, then you've got a screw loose. And it's a big screw. Because there's no way you can prove, and any science that we have available to us on this planet, that cooked foods is better than raw. That is insanity thinking. That'll get you nowhere but feeling bad, and if you want to follow it, have fun. But we're not going to follow you, because there's nothing good about cooked foods whatsoever. They're good for balance only. Balance only. No animal cooks their food before they eat it. If you're holding water or edema, you're too acidic. Get to practicality and reality. Chinese medicine has to get more practical. Herbal medicine. It's too radical in some of its thinking processes and some of its constituents it uses. We don't need dragon paws and all that kind of stuff, you know. Bear gallbladders, bear paws, all those sort of things. All the creatures of the earth, we don't need to eat those to get well. Your psoriasis is called from acidosis and you're building up down in the testicles. That's not from a damp condition. Give me a friggin' break. Water doesn't cause psoriasis. I am confused what to eat to help my kidneys. Well, you're confused because you're listening to too many people. You got to pick one you want to listen to and follow them. When you find out that does work or doesn't work, if it doesn't work, you change course. The trouble that most people have is they try to follow 2 or 3 practitioners. Any of you guys ever fell on barbed wire or tried to go over a barbed wire fence and you fell right on the barbed wire? You tried to straddle the barbed wire fence here. You're trying to do 2 things at once. Chemo raw foods. You're trying to follow someone that believes that raw foods are bad, but then you're following a whole system of raw food eaters. You know, you follow one thing or another. If somehow cooking your foods and using dead animal tissue make you think it's a better way to get healthy, then follow that way. And leave those that choose to go the other way alone. I followed it, let me see here, psoriasis, lightly steamed veggies and an herb to dry out the dampness. I followed it and the psoriasis reduced. I am confused what to eat to help my kidney and body repair the herb. It's reduced because of the kidney formulas, not because of you cut down to cooked food. With a device, a protocol to assist in my recovery. Please let me know if you can help. Dan definitely can help you get rid of all of that. But I would forget what she told you or he told you because that's not accurate. I would get off my kidneys. Now, they were accurate when you're dealing with the kidneys for sure and the hip. That was totally accurate. So you want to get in there, get the kidneys, the adrenals up, get your lymph moving. I would also, what else would I do? Would I hit my parathyroid and take a bones formula with it, just like we discussed on the guy with the motorcycle accident? You betcha. Why? Because you're losing calcium in that structure. Why? Acidosis. Well, you could eat cooked foods. You could return to more of acidic food eating. But I don't think you want to do that. You want living food, living chemistry that can help rebuild. But you also have to look at your condition and why are you losing your hip? Kidneys, adrenals. So you want to go there. That's the lymphatic system. So you want to focus on the lymph system. So you really want to work on your lymphatic system big time. You've done nothing for your lymph system except hit your kidneys and tell you to get away from the foods that clean the lymph system and the kidneys. So I would rethink myself, Dan, and get yourself, we have a 14-week protocol, get on it. But get on a parathyroid. I would do a parathyroid glandular, 2 bottles. I would do 1-3 times a day of the parathyroid, and I would do a bones formula 2-3 times a day. That's what I would do. Dear Robert, and this is from E. I like that. Are there any other plants which my mom can use to combat chronic bronchitis? Well, you want expectorants. And chronic bronchitis, you want to definitely get, if you can, get our 3-lung tea. I only have pleurisy root, mullein, and fenugreek. Anything that loosens up hard sputum or mucus. Anything that's an expectorant. But lungs 2 also acts as an expectorant. It's an herbal formula. But also, you want kidneys, you want your adrenals. Even though it's the lungs and you're thinking this way, you want to pull down because you have interstitial thinking to think about. You have the natural rhythm of moving the lymph from interstitial spaces of your bronchi, of your lungs. Same problem, full of mucus and stuff like this, so you're not draining lymphatically either. And your mom is probably just holding there. So she's got to go on fruits and berries and melons because they're expectorants. And particularly the subacid and the acid, they're expectorants. And she's going to go through a bronchitis symptom. Don't freak out. She wants to get over it. Let the mucus come out. Quit stopping it. Don't do antibiotics. You're killing yourself. You're putting mucus in by the food you're eating, and then you're stopping it when the body's trying to get rid of it. That's asinine. But that's medical thinking. We tell you to eat the foods that causes it, but then we give you the antibiotics and the drugs to stop the mucus when the body's trying to expectorate it. Make sense? This is how radical that system is in its thinking. And I've talked about this many times. I saw an RN try to give a milkshake to a man that had so much mucus he was choking, and an LPN trying to suction him while the RN was saying, George, you got to have your milkshake. And I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm saying under my breath, you're going to kill him. They probably did. This is insanity. Thank God you guys know truth. Now, this man or lady, this is Ellen, so Ellen's mom has had bronchitis since she's in her 30s. So you're going to have some deterioration of bronchi and maybe lung tissue. So you want to get your mom to expectorate as fast as possible, even if she had to go to the store and get Mucinex or something. I feel this was triggered by severe anxiety and self-punishment. Well, I mean, I can tell you the link there would be there to severe anxiety. Where would be your link to that? Kidneys, lymphatic system, mucus. That would be your link to that. But it wouldn't cause bronchitis, but it would be your link to that, wouldn't it? Exactly. You rethink things, look at things differently. You know, like I said, most physicians go to the ass end of the donkey before they look at the head and the whole body to see how it all fits together. And if things don't come out the way they should, they guess why. It coincided when my dad left the family for good, and although her mother and father gave us shelter, it came with a lot of harm and lack of love. Yeah, I'm familiar with stuff like that. I've seen that kind of stuff. Your mom's got a lot of soul searching to do and realize that she's the most important thing in her world, and get happy with herself and give herself her love. And everybody give her love, get her adrenals back up, because that's what's down on her. So then that makes her kidneys down, that makes her lymphatic system down. So let her know from me that she is very important. She's just as important as anyone else, and she doesn't need another person to tell her that. In my Brazilian family at time, being divorced was a great shame. Isn't that funny? All these belief systems that screw people up. And in some walks of life, they kill their daughters for doing stuff like that. I tell you. And then these people have the gall to say things about everyone else. It's man's messed up in some places around the globe, that's for sure. Father also assaulted her sexually when she was a child, so there was this added fear as she had my brother and myself as luggage. You know, your mom needs to go and do some spirituality and some meditation and self-love stuff, you know, and hug herself and know it's okay. It's okay. You know, this world is usually, we just have experiences like this, and it's okay. Get your adrenals back up. Start from now. Past is dead. The now is here. So tell your mom to let the past go. It doesn't matter anymore. Start right now. Create a new world for herself. And you create a new world for yourself. Easy to get rid of bronchitis, please. Easy, easy, easy stuff. But fix the adrenal glands, because that's going to create a lot more problems within you with the lymphatic system. So tell your mom that she's a beautiful soul. She needs to accept that fact, and that she doesn't need anybody. She's got herself. And that's all you need. Mom now is in her 60s. Has always used inhalers. Now, this is a case, guys. What are you going to do with this case? She's always using inhalers. And these are cancer causing. So what they've done is they've locked this mucus. That's why she keeps having bronchitis, because she's using inhalers. And inhalers lock the sputum in the lungs. Shame on pharmaceutical companies. You want to use an herbal antispasmodic for when it feels tight, but it'll continue to allow expectoration. So I would get her on our herbal antispasmodic either every 3 hours or one dropper full every 3 times a day, like all the other stuff. I would also get her on lungs 2, 3-lung tea. I would also get her on brain and nerve. Why? Strengthen the nervous system up. I'd get her on adrenals to also do the same thing, but also to create a filtration through the kidneys to start opening up her doors. See where we're going with this? Why we're doing the things we're doing? I would get her moonshine yarrow to help with her emotional components and stuff and make her happy and feel good about herself. Use flower essences in her life and to make her feel good and appreciate who she is. Because you have to get expectoration. So you got to get over these inhalers. These things are bad news bears. Nebulizing treatment much better. With a stronger formulation after each new doctor's visit. Oh yeah, I bet. And they'll lock her tight in here. Then you'll start getting a mass forming. And then they'll want to cut. Oh, it's just that never-ending story of idiocy and unconsciousness. let me see here. I now live in England, and she used less frequency her inhalers here. I also got some tea with dandelion and burdock, which she loved. Get more of an expectorant tea, more of fenugreek, mullein, pleurisy root. There was also a very good and unexpected improvement on her health when we visited a specific location by the sea, and I am now considering a move to that region. Salt water and emotionally calming. You see the water, it's emotionally calming. You can see through infiniteness. But it's also salt water, inhaling, anti-inflammatory. Interesting, huh? Like with many victims of abuse, my mom does not want the help of psychologists. What are they going to do? Yeah, but I'll tell you what, if you detox her mom, these images will come out of her. She might cry a little bit, but they'll come out of her. Restore the adrenal glands. When you store tissue to health, cells dump their memories. And believe me, these memories are in her cells too. So she can dump in a detox all of this, use the flower essence and kombucha, and find herself at 60 having a revitalization of her life and become a new living being on planet Earth. How about that one? I think so. She has also processed some emotions when watching videos on psychology topics from YouTube, which I have played for her. You're doing good, Ellen. You know what? Proud of you for working with your mom like that. Really proud of you. Let your mom review this and let her see. Hey, Mom, get your health back, honey, and learn another higher way of living and appreciate your own self. You don't need anybody else. All right, I got one more, and then I think I'm going to cut this off because you're going to get mad. It's going to be so long. And I still got a bunch. I'll come in this weekend and do some more for you. Hopefully. Hi, my name is Deanna. I am a 32-year-old wife and mom of 2 young girls. How cute. In 2003, I was in the U.S. Army training to go to Iraq. It was there that I got, boy, there's some injuries here today, huh? Then I got injured, and I haven't been the same since. My injuries include 3rd and 4th degree frostbite on my left foot and ankle. I also sprained it really, really bad. You might as well say it was broken. It had healed, but it was still swollen. Now it's to the point of my right leg swelling, as well as my foot and ankle. My leg now gets ulcers on it. And most recently, I'm breaking out in hives as well. Please help. I'd be happy to help, dear one, Deanna. All right. Is this easy, guys? Okay, let's go backwards. Why is her ankle swelling? Kidneys. She's 32 years old. So you know she's got kidney problems. And she's not filtering. So you can actually separate the trauma from this even. We can associate it or separate it. But it's enough to say that she's swelling. And now the other leg that's kidneys. All down the line, kidneys. So, honey, you got to fix your kidneys. You really got to get your kidneys filtering. Look at that on YouTube here and get your kidneys filtered. Get your adrenal glands up. And again, let's go back to parathyroid gland and healing of connective tissue, skeletal tissue, and things like this. Now, let's also, for a minute, let's jump back to the ulceration on the leg. What's causing that? Which system in your body is causing that? There's only 2 to guess from. The lymphatic system is correct, and the swelling is from that system, the kidneys. So you're in kidney trouble here, and you would be. So you want to fix this. You want to get your kidneys filtered, get your adrenals up. So that's going to give you more steroids too, act as anti-inflammatory. You're going to start moving out all these acids. The swelling will come out of your feet. The lesion will go away on your leg. All these things like this will go away. Now, pop up this parathyroid. Take a bottle or 2 of parathyroid 1-3 times a day. Add it with the Bones formula 2-3 times a day. That's what I would be doing for myself. Just like we talked about a minute ago in another case. And really start to regenerate cartilage and bone and connective tissue and things like that. At the same time, move your lymph. Start moving your lymph. Another thing you could do is lower circulation. You start moving your lower circulation here. because this will help move blood aggressively into the feet. At the same time, if you don't get your kidneys filtering, you could lose the toes. You could start having a lot of problems down there, sweetheart. So you want to get your kidneys filtering, pull all this lymph out of those legs, out of the feet, get lower circulation. That'll start opening more blood flow to the toes, to the feet. At the same time, you're moving all those acids out. You're repairing tissue, things like this. The bone is a great repairer of tissue. So you'll actually help to repair cells along with having high calcium type foods, and then you're hitting the gland to help with that as well. But you need to do those things to get yourself out of this. I get on a raw food diet, no question, and all this is very repairable. Very repairable, and you can heal yourself right up, Deanna. So I would go in that way and fix myself. You're a mom of 2 little girls. You got to be healthy for that. I just saw some of your videos, and I, first of all, thank you so much for seeding the truth. Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate this. Oh, this is Matthew again. Oh, yeah, I've read this. Maybe I read this before. Did I read this, Matthew, about you live in Murcat in North Africa, and I just cured. Oh, and I just cured from Solomon. Oh, yeah, we went over that. We don't have to go over that again. Okay, so this, let me see, this is by Gerro, Gerro, Stephen. Are enzymes good to use? Is the hype about enzymes true? You know what? I don't use enzymes because I eat foods full of them. Foods come with their own digestive sense about them. They come with their own enzymes, their own energy. They come like they need to come. So when you use digestive enzymes, we talked about this many, many times, and this is something that you have to get. It's a fad right now to push digestive enzymes, but it's a fad that'll take you to hellville. I've told you, we've seen more and more and more people coming in here that can't digest their foods after taking digestive enzymes for 1 year to 2 years. With one lady the other day, almost 2 years, she said, I can't digest anything. I'm belching and burping, I'm doing everything because I know I'm not. And he just said, right on. So don't take, this is again where sometimes the simplistic is too simple for people and they want to keep adding to it. And I may tell you, simplicity goes a long way. When you start adding and adding and adding, sometimes you lose your simplicity and now you lose your healing. Because now you've added stuff that's counterproductive and you didn't need to. You have full faith in God that everything works and rebuilds and everything is good as it does. You don't need to keep adding this and that because someone said it's good and it has a miracle cure of this and a miracle cure of that. You hear that all the friggin' time out there. And in 99.9% of the cases, it's all not true. There's a couple things that come pretty good. But you got to use your common sense and you use what you know to be true as a barometer. That's what the mind's for anyway, remember? But now you're controlling your mind and feeding it truth. And you can use your mind to gauge what other things are against truth. Sheep and cow. I don't know what this one thing is, but beef, bone marrow, sheep and cow placenta, also multiglandulars, and a parasite cleanse has worked big time. How? I don't really know, but it has. Lymphatic pills also. Yeah, probably more of that. But you had sheep and cow placenta? That's nasty. But you know what was in that helped you, don't you know? What do we use placentas for? Where do we get progesterone from to give it back to ladies? Placentas. Because notice this is all with acid and base the same way. When a woman conceives and she's got a little embryo in there growing and the placenta is forming, guess what? That placenta becomes mainly progesterone. Why? Corticosteroid, anti-inflammatory. Helps protect the fetus from what? Acids. Look at how God protects. And yet you have to have duality, but you have to have protection from the most aggressive side of it. So it's interesting when you start looking how all of this is set up for the protection of things, But you don't have to eat that. You can actually eat living raw foods as anti-inflammatory. Same thing. You can also, they act as lymphatic pills as well. I made colloidal silver. It's awesome. Now, I don't want to take you down off of awesome, but don't take the silver. Look at the guy that turned blue. Again, chemistry. Don't use chemistry to go after parasites. Use herbs. That's what they're designed to do. Be careful with silver because you're going to unbalance the rest of your body's chemistry. You don't play with metals like that. Fruits, berries, melons is 85% of my diet. Healing crisis, could you please speak about it and how it's a good thing? My contact number is such and such. Thank you, sir, and thank you, my friend. Very, very thank you. Well, you know, garbage in, garbage out. You know, everybody doesn't like to have a cold and flu. You don't like to have all that mucus coming out of you like that. You don't like to feel good, achy, and sweaty and all that. Then don't put it in. It's simple as that. But you've never been told that different foods causes that. That's the problem. Man has tried to keep himself ignorant. Negative forces. Keep yourself ignorant. You don't grow. You stay here. Negative forces. So, healing crisis or healing crisis. Our level 2, those of you who are coming, we are going to get deeper into healing crisis. And how do you know it's a healing crisis or it's a need for an ER trip? You know, there's all kinds of levels to talk about. A lot of fun, isn't it? There's all kinds of fun to having this. This is a fun thing to do, is help people get their wellness. It's satisfying on both sides, and you know it's good for the big one. So it's just, you know, it's just a good thing. Always a good thing. Gabriella, hi Dr. Morris. I have a question about a possible hernia. I've been noticing lately, every time I stand up, I see and feel a sometimes hard bulge protruding in my lower left abdomen right next to my belly button, but the actual bulge appears on my abdomen. Is this a hernia? Ooh, honey, it sounds like it to me too. So, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to get on the raw, right? You're going to keep detoxifying the lymph, right? But what other thing? Hernia, connective tissue. What do we want to think about here? We want to think about parathyroid, don't we? So I'm going to do just what I was talking about on these two other cases. I'm going to go to a parathyroid glandular. I'm going to take maybe 1-3 times a day, maybe 2 bottles worth, and I'm going to take a bones formula with that. I'm going to start strengthening my connective tissue up, aren't I? Sooner than later. But I'm also going to start moving out my acids, because when you see the deterioration of connective tissue, what side of chemistry are we on? Acids. Why? Acids have to be buffered. How do we buffer acid reflux in the stomach? Tums. What's another word for Tums? Calcium. See where I'm going? We're pulling calcium out of our tissue to fight acids, and then our tissue herniates. And that's what it sounds like is happening to you, sweetheart. So get your bowels cleaned up too, because this is in the general area of the small bowel. And so you never know. You could have a herniation of the small bowel wall pushing out through the abdomen. You could have anything like that. So you might want to get an x-ray or an ultrasound or something, but I'll say this, go after that parathyroid, I would, with a bones formula, and I'm going to open up my body and get it alkaline, because alkaline strengthens and heals. Acids break down, deteriorate, and herniate an aneurysm. Well, I think we've done pretty good today. I will come back and, geez, I got so many more to talk about. I hope I didn't make this too long for you guys. So look, all we got through was this little bit. It's hard to talk to you about your cases and then cover a lot of them. So I hope this has something for everybody. I love you guys. Done real proud of every one of you. Done real well. And healing and helping others, my God. I mean, when I think of you all, I think of God with this huge grin. A smiley face with a grin to every one of you beautiful spiritual beings. Love you all. We'll see you in the next video, and take care of yourself. And some of you I'll see at level 2. Hopefully we'll rock the roof off.